Don't forget to check out and grab your copy of our 2 newly released books, Football: A Love Story and What Did Football Teach Me? These books feature over 100 stories from current and former coaches, players, executives, and entertainers from across the football landscape, describing what got them involved in the game, what they love about it, and what life lessons the game taught them. You can find your copy or order your copy from our website at footballgameplan.com/books. Taking a look at some of my keys to victory for both teams in this ball game, starting with Alabama, I think it's about staying gap sound defensively. Clemson will put a lot of pressure on your gap responsibilities as a defense, and if you're not gap sound, you can not only get gashed by their ground game, but also by their quarterback, DESHAUN Watson. I think offensively, it's about getting O.J. Howard, the outstanding tight end, involved in the ball game. The way you can control this defense, you can control the middle of the field if you have a good tight end. It then opens things up on the outside for your tremendous wide receiver, Calvin Ridley. So I would say getting O.J. Howard involved early and often in this ball game could be beneficial for Alabama. And defensively, going back to that side of the ball, I think it's all about winning in space. Clemson does put a lot of pressure on your perimeter defense. They challenge you to make those plays one-on-one in space, and if you can't do that, they can gash you for big gains in the running game and also in the passing game. So if Alabama is not taking proper angles to the football, if they're not getting guys on the ground, if they're having problems making those plays in space, they could struggle. Moving over to Clemson in this ball game, I think DESHAUN Watson's running ability can be utilized as a decoy. I'm pretty sure Alabama will come into this ball game heavily focused on not allowing Watson to make plays with his legs. He's their second leading rusher, but I think they can utilize his ability as a runner as a decoy because he's the best quarterback in this ball game, let's be honest, and I think he can beat Alabama with his arm alone. So using his running ability as a decoy could open things up offensively for Clemson. And also, they can't allow Jake Coker to extend the play with his legs. I think this is a guy that does a great job in escaping pressure, and that's what keeps things open and running for Alabama. If they are able to keep him confined in that tackle-to-tackle box and not allow him to extend the play, they have a great chance in getting off the field. And going back to the offensive side of the football, keeping that pocket on the move for Watson, I think, will be key. He can make any throw on the football field, both from the pocket and also on the move. So you don't want to allow Alabama's pressure to cave in on him, move their pocket left or right, and that way you can have some success. Clemson is one of the better running teams in the country, and Alabama not only has to stop the run, but they also have to find ways to protect themselves in the short passing game if DESHAUN Watson decides to pull the football and try to hit him with a quick pop pass. I'm going to show you how they can do that, playing great run defense while also protecting themselves at the second level. And the unique thing about Bama this year is that no longer can you just spread these guys out and think you're going to have your way with this defense. They've gotten tremendously athletic at the second level. They've recruited well, so now you just can't go 3 to 4 wide and spread guys out and think you're going to beat Bama. You have to find creative ways, and that's probably because of the fact that the SEC has evolved into where you're starting to see more spread offenses, so Bama has to recruit to stop that. So I said all that to say this: they're fine with their base personnel. They have guys, whether this is a dime defender or an extra defensive back, they can match up well in the passing game while also playing the running game. So let me show you what we're talking about here. You want to slant everybody inside because Clemson loves to run inside and pull the football and hopefully try to get DESHAUN Watson on the outside. So you're manned up on the corners. Again, Bama can trust their guys one-on-one out here on the outside. So they're manned up on the corners. Pre-snap looks like cover 2, but it's really cover 1. And now you walk the strong safety down. DESHAUN Watson is probably going to make a check call. Okay, this guy is coming. Maybe I have to check it to an inside run or a quick slant. But really, you have the strong safety dropping back underneath. You have this backer here dropping back underneath. Backer is dropping back underneath. So you're protected underneath with 3 guys in zone coverage. You're going to hopefully influence this offensive tackle to try to chase him outside because you're taking his weak side backer or extra defensive back, crashing him inside that weak side B gap. So you're getting speed pressure on the inside, a guy that also is not afraid to stop the run. You're going to crash his outside backer here, slant him down as well. You're going to have the nose tackle pick a side. 9 times out of 10, you want him to go strong side, defend the strong side, run first. Boom, there you have it. Now you have this safety dropping back. You cover 1. Like I said before, pre-snap looks like cover 2. So they're protected versus the run. They're well protected at the second level. and they trust their corners on the outside. And we know that safety position is a big one for Nick Saban, so he's going to be a smart player that he trusts back in the deep middle. So this is one way they can protect themselves versus the run and also the pass of the Clemson Tigers. It's going to be important for the Clemson Tigers to make sure they play both sides of Alabama's strength, both running the football and getting the football out of Coker's hands quickly. And I think they can do a great job of that by sending pressure off the corner because they have tremendous athleticism in the secondary. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Pre-snap, it looks like cover 2, but it's really going to be cover 1. I love what Clemson has in the secondary from a corner to safety perspective. I think they can match up very well versus Alabama. And I'm going to show you how they can get pressure by sending this guy off the edge, rotating the safety down to cover the receiver one-on-one while dropping the safety back in the middle of the field. So, again, like we said, we're going to send a corner off the edge, but we're going to explain that in a second. But first, how we're getting pressure elsewhere is easy. Up front, we're going to have this defensive end playing outside shoulder of the tight end. He's charging hard off that outside shoulder. You want the quarterback to think, okay, this football has to come out quickly. I have to go over here, or I have to go to the receiver quickly on a quick slant or something of that nature. I'm going to show you how we're going to take that away. So that's why you want him charging hard off that outside shoulder of the tight end, because he doesn't have to worry about the tackle. And if this tackle bails and try to get this defensive end block, which is ideally what you want as well, he's going to leave a void in one of these gaps, and we're going to show you what we're talking about. So you want this this defensive tackle here to push hard inside shoulder right there of the guard, trying to draw him over here. This tackle is still at a loss. Like, okay, do I help out with this defensive tackle or do I help out with this defensive end? So ideally, he's probably going to help out with that defensive end. So now you have this guard saying, okay, I got to squeeze down a little bit and get this defensive tackle block. That's why we have these guys aligned the way we do. You want this defensive tackle to push hard inside here. We're going to bring this weak side backer over into this strong side A gap. So now if they come front side with the run play, we're in great position. This is what I talked about when I mentioned playing both sides of Alabama's strengths. They love to run strong side. This would be a great run defense if they decide to come strong side with the run. But if they decide to throw, now he's going to throw into a problem. So again, defensive end's job is to crash outside, play contain. If he wants to cut back in the running game, we're sending this corner off the edge. We want to force a quick throw over here. So we're going to walk the safety down, and he's going to be manned up and responsible for the receiver that the cornerback just left. And we're dropping both of these guys in the short area zone. He's one-on-one with this receiver out here. So now if he sees a football, if he sees the cornerback blitzing, he's okay, I'm not going to throw it to where the cornerback just left. Obviously, they're going to have a safety rotating down. I may go strong side with a quick slant, and that's going to go right into the hands of a linebacker. Clemson has a ton of athleticism at the second level, at the third levels. So that's one way I think they can influence a bad decision by Jacob Coker in the passing game, while also being in great position to stop the run of their Heisman Trophy tailback in Derrick Henry.
I like Alabama in this ball game. This will be a great matchup. I think this will be a low-scoring defensive battle. I do see both defenses coming ready to play. They attack you the same way at each and every level. Both have the size, the strength, and the athleticism. But overall, I like Alabama's secondary over Clemson's passing game. I think that's where the matchup lies, and that's where Nick Saban usually has had trouble in the past with spread offenses, but I think they've adjusted. They've recruited well. They can play a nickel defense and still be stout versus a run. So all of that considered, I think will be enough to knock off the Clemson Tigers, and they will do a great job in neutralizing DESHAUN Watson's ability to run the football. So they'll make him one-dimensional. I think that will ultimately lead them to victory in the 2016 National Championship.
It's national championship time, and there's a matchup to watch. But it's not the matchup that everybody thinks it's going to be. The matchup to watch isn't Alabama's offensive line and their running game versus Clemson's defensive line and their ability to stop the run. I believe that's a wash. What we'll be watching is Alabama's defensive line versus the Clemson 11-man rushing attack fueled by quarterback DESHAUN Watson. In my opinion, Alabama's defensive line is the deepest, most athletic, most ridiculously phenomenal defensive line I have ever seen in college football. They go 3-4 deep with All-Americans and 5-star athletes. Pretty much everybody that lines up at defensive line on their team is going to be playing in the National Football League one day. When you look at Clemson, Clemson has a very young yet extremely talented offensive line that goes 6 deep. But what makes them different is that they've been able to perfect the running game with the quarterback that they started when they had Taj Boyd at quarterback, and now they've perfected it and they've made it otherworldly with DESHAUN Watson at quarterback. Will Clemson be able to employ that 11-man running attack versus this fast, tall, long, athletic, strong defensive line for Alabama? Nick Saban, you have to give him a lot of credit because everyone thinks he's rigid, but he was able to get his defense to conform to the new game of the spread offense, and especially the spread running attack when he saw that his defense was in trouble versus it. And now, instead of implying those 350, 330-pound guys with the guts, he's got those 310, 295-pound defensive linemen who can run all over the place and wreak havoc. This is going to be a phenomenal matchup to watch, and in the end, I give the advantage to Alabama, and they're going to win their next national championship because of it.
All right, so we got Clemson versus Alabama in the national championship. This is a game that has two teams that are chock full of prospects and outstanding players. But my X factor for Clemson is going to be DESHAUN Watson. He is the best quarterback in the nation, and he's a guy that could kill teams with his legs or with his arm. He throws a deep ball very well. He's very accurate across the middle in that deep to intermediate passing game. But then when all that doesn't work, he could also kill you running the football, and he's a guy that they have designed runs for, and those type of quarterbacks are the ones that give Alabama trouble. So DESHAUN Watson, he is definitely my X factor for Clemson. Looking at Alabama, obviously you have the big player in Derrick Henry, but my X factor is going to be that defensive line along with the outside linebackers. I mean, you look at A'Shawn Robinson and Jarran Reed. Those are the guys that are going to anchor that defensive line. They need to get that interior pressure. And then you have Ryan Anderson on the outside, one of the outside linebackers. They need to do everything they can to contain DESHAUN Watson, keep him in the pocket, and make him beat them from the pocket. And that's something that Watson could do, don't get me wrong, but that is what they need to do in order to be able to win this game. They have to contain his explosiveness when he's able to get outside of the pocket and make plays. Another key matchup, just a bonus here for you folks. You look at Mackenzie Alexander going against Calvin Ridley. I think that's a matchup to watch. You saw what Alexander did last week against Sterling Shepard, so he's going to look to carry on his shutdown moniker, so to speak, and I think that that'll be a matchup to watch. End of the day, I got Clemson winning this game. I just think DESHAUN Watson is too good of a player, and I think that he's going to find his targets down the field, and I think Clemson will win this football game.
Now here is a look at the 2016 NFL Draft prospects that you want to keep an eye on in this ball game. And as you would expect in a championship game, you're going to see a ton of pro-level talent. In this particular matchup, a lot of it is on the defensive side of the football. You look at Alabama with A'Shawn Robinson, Cyrus Jones, Reggie Ragland, Tim Williams, Jarran Reed are guys that you definitely want to keep an eye on. Cyrus Jones also doubles as a tremendous kickoff and punt returner. For Clemson, Mackenzie Alexander, one of the best cornerbacks in the country. Shaq Lawson, outstanding defensive end, and also a guy in Jaron Kearse that plays strong safety at 6'4", 210, and B.J. Goodson, the linebacker. But offensively speaking, Derrick Henry, the Heisman Trophy winner, a lot of people will be watching him in his ball game to see how he's able to have success versus a defensive front seven that's similar to Alabama, but overall a ton of talent on both sides of the ball. So pro scouts will be in droves at this contest and also salivating at the amount of talent, not just for senior talent, but also junior and even redshirt sophomore talent in this ball game.